what do you think Drew Brees' legacy is?
Well, I think he's going to go down as one of the all-time greats. Anytime you pass for 80,000 yards, you lead the NFL. You're number one in history in terms of passing yards. I believe touchdowns were 571, if I remember correctly. His accuracy was one of the all-time greats in terms of that. And I think that he was class personified. I mean, a lot of noise was made during the whole social justice issue movement about what his opinions were and how they differed from that of his teammate Malcolm Jenkins and others. But the reality is that anybody that knows Drew Brees knows that he's been class personified. He's been a voice on behalf of the players for the NFL Players Association. He's just a class individual. He's a champion. He's an all-time great as a passer. There's no doubt about that. And I'm looking forward to seeing him in the booth as well. He's going to have a challenge in that regard because I think that Tony Romo has raised the bar with his charisma, with his football acumen as well. But we know that Drew Brees has that. There's no question about that. But having that charisma in the booth for NBC, that'll be interesting to see. But that's the only question mark about him. Nobody's going to ever question his credentials. Nobody's going to ever question the fact that he's one of the all-time great quarterbacks. And to be quite honest with you, one of the all-time great people. Mm-hmm. And I think that who would have ever thought that we'd see a retirement announcement like that with your 4 kids and do it? That was such a beautiful, beautiful scene. But it's typical of what you get from Drew Brees, a guy that gets it done and is class personified in doing so and just leaves and touches on your heartstrings and things of that nature. I'm just happy for him. He's 42 years of age, and obviously he thought it was time to go, and it is, and by and large, by the way most of us feel. And nothing but the best to him moving forward.
Pardon. Look, Drew Brees is a Hall of Famer. When I think Drew Brees, I will think accuracy. He's the most accurate quarterback I've ever seen. And I referred to the social media thing. It went viral a little while back where he's competing against an Olympic archer. An Olympic archer. And the Olympic archer from the same distance hits the bullseye like 3 out of 10 times, and Drew Brees hit it 7 out of 10 times, something like that. He's more accurate with the football than an archer, an Olympic archer. And I think New Orleans, getting traded from San Diego to New Orleans, he became, and then going through Katrina, and then winning a Super Bowl there, and then even what he says, I'm retiring from football, not from New Orleans. I absolutely identify him with that area. But more than all that stuff, Drew Brees has something. If you've ever been in the same room with him, ever talked to him, and I have a couple of times through the years, he has something. Guys, Magic Johnson has this. When Magic Johnson walks into a room, you can see that everyone in that room wants to be the best version of themselves. They don't want to let Magic down. He has that, whatever it is he has that makes people feel that way. And he also somehow makes you believe in yourself. Drew Brees, who I've not dealt with nearly as much as Magic, he walks into a room, everyone feels good. And there's something about you mentioned charisma that Tony Romo has on the air. It's a different kind of charisma or effect on other people. And you can see why he was a great quarterback and a great leader. And that's what I'll remember about Drew Brees.
Yeah, I think Drew Brees is the greatest free agent signing in the history of the NFL. It's better than Reggie White. He's better than Peyton Manning. It's better than when Deion Sanders signed as a free agent. I think he's the greatest or one of the greatest players at his position to ever come into the NFL, and he's probably a better person in comparison to the player that he was. He absolutely, unquestionably has earned a seat at the table when we have the conversation of greatest of all times. We're talking about a guy, there's 11 times in the history of the NFL has a quarterback thrown for 5,000 yards in a single season. Drew Brees has done it 5 times. He's got the greatest completion percentage in the history of the NFL. 6 out of the top 9 seasons Drew Brees has. There's been 3 quarterbacks in the history of the NFL that have a QBR of 70 or more. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees. He leads in yards. He leads in completions. He's got the streak of touchdown passes on consecutive games, 54. He's going to hold multiple NFL records. He's one of the best quarterbacks that we've ever seen come into the NFL. But it's also his impact on just quarterback play. You know, quarterback conversation 15 years ago, we used the word accuracy. Max, you just did. I actually think Drew Brees took it to a different level. There's a difference between being accurate and being able to have ball placement. His ball placement's the greatest ever. And now that makes us look at quarterbacks a little bit differently. I also question, would Russell Wilson be Russell Wilson and the Russell Wilson that we know of without a guy like Drew Brees? Without a guy that was shorter and didn't have the strongest arm and had to make up for those things, had to take weaknesses and make them strengths by work ethic and mindset and focus and all that stuff. So I think his impact on football is unmeasured, and we don't really appreciate how great of a person when it comes to that Drew Brees was. So greatest free agent signing in the history of the NFL to me.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.